Hi, my name's David, and I'm here to show you how an accounting firm can use Deskera to manage their clients' books. I'm going to be showing you two different types of practices in Deskera books. The first one is the bookkeeping practice. This is where the client does not take part in any of the activities. The bookkeeper team makes all the entries in the Deskera system and does the filing. The CPA will verify all entries at the end of the month and give the go-ahead for filing, and files relative taxes and documentation. The other practice is the accounting practice. This is where the client uses the Deskera system for day-to-day business operations without worrying about the accounting. The accounting firm verifies all entries at the end of the month and gives the go-ahead for filing. The accounting firm will file relevant tax and documentation as well. So first we're going to go through the bookkeeping practice, and then after that we'll go through the accounting practice. So let's go to Deskera and see how this all works. Now we're inside Deskera. Once you log in, you'll immediately be able to see your different clients. If I click on team, I can see my different team members. And if I click up here, I can see my different clients. And if I click on it, it'll take me to their Deskera system. So the first thing a bookkeeper wants to do is add a client. Then you input the first name, last name, email address, and then you want to click Add Organization. Then you type in the organization name, tax registry, so you select the tax registry here, financial start date, book beginning date. This is where you can enable multi-currency. You enter their address, enter their tax ID number, if you do not collect taxes, please check this box. If you do, please input the state where you collect the taxes. Now, if everything is correct, you can click Save. Then you can click Next. This is where you can give your teammates access. So for example, maybe Mike Johnson and myself. Then you can click Next again. So this is where you can choose your subscription type. Since we're using the bookkeeping practice and the client only purchases services from this accounting firm, we would most likely select this. Your organization will be billed on behalf of your client. And then you would select the plan, so Startup, Essential, or Professional. And then after that you click Next. And this is where you'd input all your payment details. And then you would check out. If you do not fill in this information, you will not be able to check out. So I'm just going to click Cancel. And I'm going to click on Team. This is where you're going to be able to create your bookkeepers, your accountants, and you can just do that by clicking Add Teammate. Then you put in the name, email address, click Next. This is where you can select the role of your teammate, such as your accounting role, where a person will be able to input the transaction, so most likely your bookkeeper. We have the auditor role, so this is where you're able to view all the transactions in the system, audit it and make sure it's all correct. And your admin role. This is the user that's able to set up the system. So I'm just going to select accounting. You can also give them client management. This gives them admin access to add, edit, or deactivate clients. So please be careful who you give this to. After that, you click Next, and then you can go and click Save. And your team member has been created. Next, let's go into one of the client systems. So I'm going to click here, and I'm going to click US Electronics. The first thing you see when you log into a client system is the dashboard. You'll be able to see their invoices, age receivable, bills, bank account, net cash flow, and profit and loss. So the first thing you want to do is go to Bank. Inside here is where the bookkeeper can start creating their bank chart of accounts and then linking it to their actual bank account. Then they'll be able to see their balance, their reporting balance, they can see the status, and they can start reconciling it. So they can see all their matched transactions, and they can go back and start finding different transactions here and matching them just by clicking Match. They can also go and add a bank account, enter in the name, put in the account code, and then they can save their bank account and go next to connect. Connect to a new bank. And inside here, they can start connecting their bank chart of account to their bank account. We use two different types of service providers. We use Yodlee and Plaid. For US, we're mainly using Plaid. So let's get started. Inside here, I can see my bank and click on it, put in my username and password and submit. I can also search for my bank. And I can see all the banks here named Boston, and I can choose which one and click on it and put in the username and password and submit. And my bank is connected. We also have bank rules. Inside here is where the bookkeeper can create rules. And after he creates a rule, he can see the name, the priority, applied to, the condition, settings, the status, and does it auto-create. So what is a rule? For example, before rules, you would get a rental bill, water bill, power bill, hotel bill, and then the bookkeeper would have to make the payment to the bank, they would have to create the expense in the system, and then they would have to manually match the two, which can be quite painful. Now with rules, you can set up conditions. Based upon those conditions, when a bank transaction flows in, the system will automatically create that expense or deposit and match it together, saving you time and effort. So let's take a look at a rule. So for example, I'm just going to click on three dots. I'm going to click Edit. Inside here, you can give it a name. You can choose the type. Is it debit or credit? You can select the bank. You can select, does it include and or. You can select the different conditions, description, payee, transaction, date, and amount. You get additional conditions as well. You can select the contact, the account, any tax components, the payment method, reference number, and the transaction type. You can put a memo and you can have it review and create or auto create. Then you can view matching transactions. And then you can check and verify if the rule is correct. If it's correct, you can click Save. Next, let's go to accounting. Now inside here, you can see your chart of accounts. You can also create your chart of accounts here. This is where you can create your journal entries, your opening balance, create your debit notes, credit notes, your expense, your deposits, and do your financial year closing. Let's create a journal entry. So let's click on Journal Entries. And inside here, this is where you can create it, and you can also view all your journal entries in the system. I can expand it and see all the information in here. I can expand all records. I can filter by date. I can filter by recurring only, non-recurring only, as well as custom fields. And I also can import, export, and click Create here. So if I click Create, I can create a normal journal entry or a fund transfer. Let's create a normal journal entry. Now inside here, I can select the currency. And this is based upon the currencies you selected when you enabled multi-currency. I can select the journal date. I can select the account. Select the type. Input the payment. Add another account. Input the payment. And you'll notice that there's an unbalanced amount here. So you won't be able to create it unless it balances. Put any memo, attach a file, and save it. After that, I can click on the three dots, and I can set as recurring. So for example, if I'm a bookkeeper and I have to create a journal entry every month, I can set as recurring, so I don't have to at all. It'll be automatically generated every time. And I can say, is it yearly, monthly, weekly, or custom, so I can choose when I want to be created. I can choose the first document date, the end date, or does it never end, and I can save it here as well. Next, let me show you how to import journal entries. Inside here, you select, is it a normal journal entry or a fund transfer? Then you click Next. You can download the sample file, but if you have your own file, you can just drag and drop it in here. Just please take note of our format. I can open this up. Inside here, you can add in the journal entry number. You can change the journal entry date. Should this be included in my tax report, any memo, currency, and currency rate? And you'll notice that the chart of accounts are on their own separate lines, so you leave this blank and then go on to the second line and put in all the chart of accounts, description, debit and credit, and the amount. If everything looks good, you can save it, and then we close it. Then we can either browse and select a file or drag and drop it. So I'm just going to click Browse, select the file, click Open, click Next. Now inside here you can see all the fields are mapped, but if you're using your own file, maybe these labels don't match, so you'll have to click here and select the correct field in Deskera. You also have to select the correct date field. And if everything looks good, you can click Next. You can expand the journal entry, make sure it all looks good. And if everything looks good, you can click Submit. And I can see my journal entry has been imported. Next, let's go to Reports. The first report that you probably want to go to is the General Ledger. Inside here, you want to verify all your accounts. So I can go click and expand this. I can see all my journal entries, make sure they all look correct. I can select the from date, to date, my accounting basis, accrual or cash. I can filter out by different account types. And if everything looks good, next I'll go to my trial balance. Make sure it all looks correct. Now we go to cash flow and see my cash flow statement. I can go here and map my accounts. I can also add more. And then I can save it. Then I can check my profit and loss. Make sure it all looks good. Then I can go to my balance sheet. Make sure everything looks correct. Then I can go to my sales tax report, look at all this information. And also we have many other reports inside here as well, including our bank reconciliation summary and reconciliation log. Now let's go back to our bookkeeper organization. So we're just going to go and click here, and we're going to click on our bookkeeper company. Next, we're going to go through the accounting practice. This is where the client uses the Deskera system for day-to-day business operations without worrying about the accounting. And the accounting firm just verifies all the entries at the end of the month and gives a go-ahead for filing. And the accounting firm files the relevant taxes and documentations. So let's go see how that looks in Deskera. So the first thing in the accounting process is they're going to add a client. They're going to input the first name, last name, email address. They're going to add an organization. Select the financial start date, book beginning date, enable multi-currency, put in the tax code, input the state, save, give the team access. Now the key difference from bookkeeper practice and accounting practice is that under accounting practice the client pays. So you'll select this, you select the plan, you click next. Then you're informed your client will be billed directly from Deskera Book Subscription. They'll receive an email invitation to generate the credentials and are responsible for paying for the selected subscription plan in order to access the paid features. And then you can click here and save. And the client has been invited. You can also then go to team and create additional teammates for them to check his account. Then after that, you would go here and you would choose the client. So the first thing the accountant will do is probably go to reports. And inside here, he'll look at all his financial reports. For example, general ledger. After that, he may want to go and export it. So you can click export here and he can export the file. Then he would check the exported file to see if there's any discrepancies. If there are no discrepancies, then he'll go to Reports, click on Sales Tax Report, and inside here he can use this information for state tax filing. And that was a quick look at how accounting firms can use Deskera to manage their clients' books.